We are continuing with our busy cities. This is part 2. Finish your drawing by adding any windows or doors to your buildings and any other details to complete the drawing. Think about all the things you would see in the city and what you might want to add, like plants or windows, types of windows, fire hydrants, bicycles, whatever you would see. So you are going to see me doing just that. And I will speed up the video for your convenience. But please take your time and add your details carefully. So I've got steps with a door, chimney, different kinds of windows from round to long and square. I've got a hotel, add some details on my SEPTA bus. This is going to be a flower shop, so I'm adding plants in the front. A big glass window. This will be a storefront of some kind, so I'm calling it the store. And adding details to my buildings, details in the windows, making different kinds of buildings. Some buildings are made up of all windows completely, so that's what those ones are with the little kind of grid on it. But you can see I filled in all of my buildings with some details. The next step is to color your foreground and your middle ground. Your foreground and your middle ground. All right, we're going to save the background for next week because if you are taking your time, then you should not even get there yet. All right, notice how I'm using the marker. I'm holding the marker on its side so I get thick, juicy lines. The marker, the trick is in the sides is where the ink hides. So holding my marker on the side and just carefully kind of tracing it and going around the areas that I want to color. So just being careful and slowing down when I'm near other objects that aren't the same color. So again, holding my marker on the side, I get those nice thick juicy lines for the larger areas to color in. So I'm starting with my foreground, so I'm going to color things in my foreground and then work my way to the middle ground. So that's what you see me doing here in this sped up part of the video. And again, just being careful with my coloring. I have like a million different markers, so I just keep grabbing different varieties of markers. You can use markers, crayons, colored pencils. You can use all of them or just one of them. It's your call. So I don't mind whatever you want to use to color with. So I'm trying to color in the glass of the windows with like blues and grays to make it look like it's shiny and reflecting the sky. Coloring in my bus and my sidewalk. Again, working my way to the middle ground, coloring in some of my people. Right. And coloring in my buildings in the middle ground now. So mostly, I'm thinking about what are my buildings made up of? Some are brick, some are probably stone, some might be painted. So I'm going to use some of the same colors like we saw in Jacob Lawrence's work, like the sort of brick house or brick buildings. So I'm going with the sort of brickish red color there. And some brownish sort of stone or brick colors. And give that a little fancy detail. That's going to be a white house, like a white brick house. So I'm creating little white bricks with using gray to make that brick look. Coloring in my window, coloring in my store. I'm doing all my little windows. Continuing on to my other foreground buildings. All right. Coloring in some windows yellow so that it looks like a light's turned on, and some dark so it looks like the light's turned off. Again, coloring in some of my buildings different colors. Excuse me. And one last building there. I think I'll make it brown to balance it out with the other brown building. All right, so your foreground and your middle ground only. Next week we'll look at the background and have the same materials to color with next week.